Susan always thought she had the perfect life. Well, almost. 10 years ago, Nicholas, a tall, confident man with a charming smile, burst into her world like a fresh breeze. He was 5 years older. Knew how to order wine, how to joke with her father, and how to carry her in his arms. A year after their lavish wedding, they were already moving into their apartment, and 2 years after that, Susan became a mother for the first time. She didn't notice the warning signs. So what if he was tired at work? So what if he yelled at her sometimes? It was just stress. He was a good father. After all, he took his son to the park on weekends and bought his daughter an expensive bike. You just don't know how to talk to him, her mother-in-law said. Men are like that. Rougher, her friend reassured her. Susan believed. She really wanted to believe. The problem started quietly, like water dripping onto a stone. At first, it was comments about her cooking. The meat is dry. Mom's was better last time. Then about her appearance. Don't you want to comb your hair? You look tired, like an old nag. Susan tried harder. She cooked more elaborately, wore brighter makeup, and joined a gym to lose the belly fat from her second child. But his demands grew. Nicholas stopped noticing her successes, turning every little thing into a tragedy. If the children made noise while he was watching TV, Susan was a bad mother. If they sat quietly and he couldn't find his socks, she was a bad housekeeper. Susan remained silent. A nasty chill settled inside her. She felt like she was walking through a minefield. The scariest thing was that Nicholas never yelled in front of the children. He skillfully waited until the little ones fell asleep or went into the kitchen, closing the door tightly. The perfect abuse, so no one sees, and the victim doubts. Did it even happen? That evening was no different. Susan was cooking dinner while helping her daughter with a craft project for the kindergarten. Her 7-year-old son was being capricious and didn't want to eat. Nicholas came home from work looking gloomy. His boss had yelled at him, and the deal had fallen through. He sat down at the table, picked at his salad with his fork, and pushed his plate away in disgust. What's this? That grass again? I asked for meat. Nick, there are cutlets, Susan replied quietly, feeling her pulse quicken. Under the salad. Have you forgotten how to count? I said we need dinner, not this nonsense. Are you deliberately making fun of me? Her son began to whine in fear. Susan asked him to leave the table and led him into the room. When she returned to the kitchen, Nicholas was standing at the sink, clutching a glass. Then he turned sharply toward her and swung. She didn't understand. The world simply shook, her vision went dark, and a terrible pain seared her cheek. A slap? No, more like a backhand. Susan hit her shoulder on the doorframe and slid to the floor. You hit me, she whispered, touching her lip. There was blood on her fingers. Nicholas loomed over her, his face twisted in contempt. Don't make things up. You did it yourself. Always getting in my way. Get up and get yourself together. You'll scare the kids. He left the kitchen, slamming the bedroom door. Susan remained on the floor. She wasn't crying. Something inside her had snapped, not from pain, but from clarity. He hit me. He didn't apologize. He said it was my fault. Susan didn't sleep that night. She lay on the edge of the bed. They had been sleeping separately for 3 years now. Nicholas said her snoring irritated him, and images of the past flashed through her mind. 10 years. 10 years of trying to please, bending over backwards, making excuses. She remembered how he'd yelled at her for breaking a cup, how he'd ridiculed her desire to take English classes. Who needs that? Stay with the kids, how he'd controlled every penny. And then she thought about the children. Her son had become twitchy, flinching at loud noises. Her daughter, on the other hand, withdrew when Dad was home. They were growing up in hell. She was condemning them to this life. In the morning, Nicholas acted as if nothing had happened. He asked for coffee. Susan poured it without a word. Did you break your lip or something? Clumsy, he said, leaving for work. This was a chance. Susan wasn't weak. It was just fear and the illusion of a normal family that had caged her. The blow hadn't broken her jaw, but a wall of denial. She packed the essentials, picked the children up from school and daycare, and went to stay with her cousin on the other side of town. She left only a letter in the apartment. I'm leaving. Filing for divorce. The children are with me. Don't look for us. The first 2 days were euphoric. The children laughed, and Susan breathed a sigh of relief. But soon a nightmare began. First, the messages. "Come back, you idiot. Let's talk." Then the threats. He blocked her bank cards, came to her sisters to make a scene, and they had to call the police. But the worst began when he filed a lawsuit to determine the children's place of residence. Nicholas didn't want them. He wanted to punish her. In court, he painted a picture of a hysterical, inadequate woman who had stolen the children and damaged their psyche. He said she had no home, no job, she had been babysitting the children while he built his career, and she wouldn't be able to provide for them. But Susan wasn't alone at the hearing. She was accompanied by lawyers from a human rights organization and a psychologist who described the children's condition. Susan's lawyer presented the notes. The court's decision was a compromise. But Susan won the most important thing: the children remained with her. Nicholas was assigned a visitation schedule, every weekend under the supervision of his grandmother, Susan's mother. The court ordered him to pay child support and threatened criminal charges for threatening her. When they left the courthouse, Nicholas approached Susan. For the first time in months. He wasn't shouting. He looked tired and aged. "Are you happy?" he asked quietly. "You destroyed the family. Left the children without a father. You destroyed the family." "Nick," Susan replied just as quietly. "That night. In the kitchen. Sometimes, to save yourself, you have to fall to the floor. And then get up. For good."